Welcome to another podcast. Today I made slight changes in the making of the podcast so as to make it easy for myself. Smart working, after all, is about finding ways to simplify the activities, which I guess need to be implemented in most areas of our lives. And I badly need to learn how to be doing things in a rather simplified manner without compromising on the quality of service. Simplifying sounds pretty easy, but it's easy said than done. Like Prime Minister Modi ji often reminds us, shortcuts would cut us short. In fact, with regard to roads, shortcuts were meant to make our journeys more easy. It was meant to save time and efforts. I hold the opinion that in olden days there were more relevance to shortcuts. We could opt the short route to reach a destination which you could either walk or were meant for the vehicles. It actually made the journey short, but at the same time, most shortcuts had its own disadvantages too. In the regional language of the state, which is Malayalam, these shortcuts roads were often called as Idawari, which translates roughly to middle path. Those paths used to be pretty narrow, rough, and left with least maintenance, if any. Obviously, these shortcuts were least crowded. And that felt strange. I mean, if a road is least crowded, it makes you wonder if that's not the one more number of people would love to take. Why would shortcuts be the roads less taken? Or did Mr. Robert Frost's poem have anything to do with shortcuts? The shortcut roads seemed in those days like the roads less taken, which made me realize that choosing a shortcut was more or less easy said than done. Same is true about simplifying. Long ago, while I was stranded in an airport and had nothing much to do, I went around the shops and got myself trapped in a bookstore. You know, bookstores are magical places. Entering a bookstore is like entering thousands of new worlds. The possibilities are simply endless. I picked up a book called Simplicity, authored by Edward de Bono. Do you know what motivated me to pick that book? Was it the author? Was it the cover page design? Was it a random choice? In fact, I chose the book for its title. Simplicity, I assumed, would have something to do with simplifying life because I badly needed tips. If only I had someone to practically suggest ways of how I could simplify life, that would have been rewarding. Because in that phase of life, I genuinely wished to practice ease of living. In the sense to be able to maximize performance within the available time scale, which should also be simplified. So how would you make the most of the time that has been given to you? How do you do that? Perhaps there are two ways of doing it: quantity versus quality. Doing more things in the shortest time. The second way is doing things the best way possible in a given time while not being concerned about the quantity. To be honest, when I thought of simplifying life, what I had in my mind was to be able to do more and more things in the given span of time. That was the whole intention, because most of the things were meant to be done. There was nothing like you could avoid a few tasks and get away doing just a few activities, thereby making it possible to focus on quality more than quantity, or the other way around. So my goal was to find a way to do more and more in the least amount of time. And in some corner of my mind, I knew it was possible only if you simplify. So, when I came across a book with the title Simplicity, I got excited because the word simplicity, I believed, had something to do with simplifying. Right or wrong? The author, Edward de Bono, has said dealing with complexity is an inefficient and unnecessary waste of time, attention, and mental energy. And to be able to attain that sort of simplicity, the author suggests we follow the fundamentals. Always strive for simplicity. Do not wait until things have become complicated. It means that simplicity becomes an automatic part of the design process whenever thinking is used. Because values can be ignored, but habits cannot be ignored. So you need to put a very high value on simplicity and not have it as a second order objective. When things are highly complicated, we often wish for simplicity. But when things are not complicated, we rarely strive to make something as simple as possible. One of the main purposes of simplicity is indeed to make life easier. Hence, the real purpose of thinking is to abolish thinking. So much more important than simplicity as a value is simplicity as a habit. A search for simplicity should enable us to rethink everything, including the way it is done, and not just the problem areas. So, why am I doing this at all? I think it's becoming necessary to invest time, thinking energy, and design efforts in trying to make things more simple. If you don't, then the result of your efforts will be simplistic rather than simple. So modify if you can. If you cannot, then start afresh. Not everything that is there really needs to be there. Not everything that's done be done the same way as it has always been done. Things which are done in a particular way at some point of time may no longer be done the same a while later. Things which were needed at one point of time may be no longer needed now. Hence, we just have to be clear about what you are trying to do and then set about designing a way of doing it, even at the expense of ignoring the existing system entirely. You may even need to be prepared to let go of the other values of simplicity. For example, perfection versus simplicity. You may not have both. In an increasingly complex world, simplicity is going to be of key value. The pace of change is not going to stop, so we have to make a conscious effort to make things simpler. Of course, you would find plenty of lessons on what you will need for living a simple life, but the best ones are still the ones you discover yourself. And so, if you have ever experienced anything like what I did, caught between the two entities, the quantity versus the quality, whatever matters to you, remember that routines have a way of making sure that the most important things get prioritized. While the details will undoubtedly be different for everyone, ultimately all routines serve the same purpose. Keeping in front of mind is essential because it's easy to get distracted when creating your routines based on quantity versus quality arguments. There is so much we think we should be doing, but what are you really trying to achieve? Instead of empowering you, is your daily routine or creativity spur pushing you to end up feeling like another chore on your already overflowing to-do list? That's the last thing anybody wants. It can be tempting to think of creativity as something that arrives in a flash of inspiration, after which solutions immediately start appearing to our most pressing problems. Of course, the reality is not really like that. Researchers argue that we tend to make this mistake because we get confused with the ease with which we can generate ideas with the quality of them. So to recap, get clear on the purpose of your routines first, why you are doing what you are doing. And in doing so, as such, perspiration is likely to be as important as inspiration. Sooner or later, that will bring you to a realization that creativity is a persistent endeavor. Enough of spreading out yourself thin and trying to make everyone else happy, trying to attain perfection. By doing so, we often forget that the purpose of thinking is to do away with thinking. Your time, your energy, it's so precious. So stop wasting it on things that don't deserve both. Simplify. There are alternative ways of doing things just in case you may like to do it differently from the ways you have done it so far. In this context, let me conclude with a quote. It's very simple. The ability to simplify means to eliminate the unnecessary so that the necessary may speak. I'll be back with another topic very soon. Meanwhile, be mindful when it comes to your words. Words are powerful. They have the ability to inspire us, motivate us, and push us to take action. So if you have the right words, spare them to encourage yourself and others who are in the journey. In the words of Mark Twain, the difference between the almost right word and the right word is really a large matter. It's the difference between the lightning bug and the lightning. Take care.